Okay, we can start. So welcome everyone to this training, part of the training series of the Innovation Booster Fashion and Lifestyle. Today, we are going to work with our trainer called Aurélie Moser, founder of Bambooster. Welcome, Aurélie. And we are going to see how to frame an innovation challenge and going from problem statement to solutions. But before that, I would like to share a presentation presenting you what is the Innovation Booster Fashion and Lifestyle and at which stage we are on at the moment and how you might potentially join the innovation program. So let me share the screen and the presentation. So I'm Daniele Panato. I'm the Community Development and Innovation Booster Director. And the Innovation Booster program is a program financed and powered by InnoSwiss. InnoSwiss is the Swiss innovation agency with the role of promoting science-based innovation in the interest of economy and society in Switzerland, and with two main focus. One is technological transfer, so use the potential of research done in Switzerland, and the other one is to fund innovation. And the Innovation Booster is one of, I lost the sharing in the meantime. And I was saying that the Innovation Booster is one of the instruments available from InnoSwiss. And from last year, so from 2024 to 2027, we are running an innovation booster, which are based, there are multiple around Switzerland based on single topics or industries, and we are focused on fashion and lifestyle. So what we do is to capitalize the extensive network, not only teaching about in the whole Switzerland and also internationally of professionals and research about fashion and managing throughout events and workshops and an open innovation programming with a user-centric approach. We can finance up to 10 ideas per year with about 28,000 francs per idea. And what we do is to run the program in 6 different stages. In the first stage, we gather a diversified group of people, representatives from the industry, to understand what are the challenges and problems affecting the industries. And we run twice these 6 steps during the year. So we have 2 cycles. And after having identified the problems and challenges, we open a call for challenges. Where people like today and after this call can join the program and submit their innovation hypothesis in order to potentially be funded and test the potential of those ideas. So now we are in the call application in the second call for challenges. The first call is now closed. And we just had the workshop last week, because the next step is the workshop called Challenge Your Ideas, where is a mandatory appointment where we gather the people that submitted an innovation hypothesis, and we create innovation teams. We see in a minute how they are composed, working together to understand what are the problems and challenges, understand them better. And today we will explore how to reframe those challenges, and then work with co-creation together of potential ideas to be tested. And we are talking about radical innovation, radical ideas, and we will briefly also touch this point later on. Then the selected ideas will access the pitch day, and an independent jury decide upon the ones that can be funded. And then there is the test, implement, and learn phase, where actually with the funds available, the potential of the idea can be tested. And the call open now is about sustainability. So it's called Crafting a New Sustainable Approach for Tomorrow's Fashion Industry. The deadline is September the 5th. But of course, if you are interested, as soon as you can submit your hypothesis, we can help you out into the matchmaking and creating your innovation team. And many of us know that the fashion industry is tackling a lot of challenges in the environment and sustainability part of the business. And we identified many challenges affecting the industry, from waste management, optimization of collection, sorting processes, but also eco-design, recycling, circularity, also touching the consumer, so consumer awareness and engagement, using also AI to innovate on responsible purchasing and recycling, low impact dyeing, so also on the production, the usage of water, or using blockchain, other technology to do that. So this is an exhaustive list, but also not limited to. So you can, and we will share after this training, a follow-up email with more information about those challenges, about the call, and how you can actually join the program. And the pitch jury briefly is, as said, a diversified group of research, business, and society that decide independently who will benefit from the funds. And this is the pitch jury for the first call. We also finalized the second one, and we will share with you during the process. But just to give you an example, there are professors from different universities around Switzerland, like University of Lausanne, but also brands like Seven for All Mankind, Philipp Plein, and Industry Association, and investors to have also the point of view of the entrepreneurs and early stage investments. The innovation teams are composed by at least one research partner, composed and represented by one university that does active research and be recognized by InnoSwiss and based in Switzerland, and an implementation partner, at least an implementation partner based in Switzerland with a legal entity, and can be from a startup, scale-up, small, medium enterprise, but also NGOs, association, organization. And together, they form an innovation team. And during the co-creation workshop, they work together at understanding better. I lost again, I have some issues. To understand what is the challenge and co-create together the idea. And the possibility to test out the ideas can be in the areas of desirability, feasibility, viability, and it can be throughout a proof of concept, feasibility studies, or market assessments. And of course, it's finding the right spot, the so-called sweet spot of innovation. It's the intersection between those areas, and the Innovation Booster program can help out to test out one of multiple areas, but also there are multiple options later on after the program to continue this working or to implement or to finance further these ideas. And the innovation team funding for this year is structured with a contribution from InnoSwiss, a cash contribution of 20,000. Then there are 3,000 cash contributions from our sponsors that we thank for their believing in the program. And then there are another 5,000 provided by InnoSwiss that we decided to irrigate in form of vouchers. One is execution voucher with methodological support on desirability. It's mandatory that it's on desirability, and one Launchpad voucher that will help you out into understanding how to continue further after the testing. So with the implementation plan, an investment plan, etc. And we are always available to give you additional information. But to give the floor to Aurélie as soon as possible, today we are looking at the problems, because innovation, first and foremost, is starting from the problem. And Albert Einstein said, if I had 1 hour to solve a problem, I would spend 55 minutes defining the problem and only 5 minutes finding the solution. So understanding the problem from the inside out is paramount to create real innovation. And today we will find out more. And also it's important to look behind the idea, not falling in love with the idea and deal with the underlying problem, but also look at behind the problem to see what are the underlying assumptions. So I will leave the floor to Aurélie with a phrase that I always use in the presentation, is that the answer to the innovation is to ask one more question. So I hope that today more questions will be raised and you will be stimulated by this interesting training. And thank you all for participating. Aurélie, thank you for your availability. I leave the floor to you, and we will follow up via email with more information.
Thank you, Daniel. What a privilege to speak after Einstein. So I'm up to the challenge. So good afternoon, everyone. Really happy to be here. So I prepare a presentation, let's say a short training on how to look at the problem. And you will see I will rephrase also at the situation. And I would love to have an interactive session. Okay, don't let me, I can speak for 45 minutes, but I would love you to ask questions as I present. Okay, you have the chat open. If you raise your hand, the team will unmute yourself. So that will be the ideal. Okay, to have an exchange of ID and question. I'm looking here maybe because I don't see you on my main video. So that's why I'm not looking at something else, but I'm looking at your face. So before I start, who is Aurélie? So I'm based in Basel, calling in from Basel. I'm an InnoSwiss expert. So I review funding application for innovation project. Maybe some of you know InnoCheck, Swiss Innovation Program, Swiss Accelerator. Now for the past two years. I'm also a team coach, so early stage coach to help team going faster from idea to market, specifically in two pillars. One is health, and health is data, sports, longevity, nutrition, so it's very broad, and sustainability. And the third part I think is worth knowing for you is I support similar program that the one that Daniele presented. So in InnoSwiss Booster, Innovation Booster, one on health, digital health, where we look a lot into, for example, AI, automation, and so on. And one on sustainability, where we look into how we can reduce CO2 emission and replace plastic. Okay, so I would say it's a program I know very well, and it challenges of team after those programs looking for funding for InnoSwiss, but also VCs. I'm also a jury member in many places. And that's where we want to tackle here with the team is how you can look at the problem so you save a lot of time and money later. Okay. And I would love to start with that and for you to write in the chat, what do you see? What do you see? And the one who are not mute. Bambi, thank you, Vincent, for starting. What else do you see? A deer, yeah? Anything else? And on the situation, thank you, Cecilia. A baby on the road, in the middle of the forest. Yeah, great, okay. Yeah, in the habitat, in danger, could be. Yeah, you see, so quite a diverse way to look at the same image, okay? And I wanted to start with that to remind ourselves that things are not always what they seem, okay? Everything is about perspective, and innovation is about perspective, because the deer is not crossing the road, but the road is crossing the forest. Okay, and so you see, depending on where you sit, you know, if the Bambi or if the car driver, you will see at the same reality with a different eyes and different outcome and different assumption. Okay, so really the goal here is how you could get a systematic approach to get the right perspective on the problem and the situation before you spend too much money and time on solution. Okay, and for that, I prepare for today, so I selected 3 topics because I mean, on this big space of understanding the problem, you can go many ways. I choose one, which is, okay, how you could look today on the people who influence around your targeted end user. Okay, so that will be what I call an ecosystem mapping that will give you, let's say, a very different perspective around your user. The second part will be tomorrow. So one is today, one is tomorrow. And we will look at how you could quickly look at trends and things that might change what will play in the problem space. And the third part is get support if we have time, but really briefly on how you could use a generative AI to help you, okay? Because I think it's a big topic and I think it's something that could help us to, you still see my slide? Oh yeah, to be smarter. Let me go back here. So raise your hand again, okay? So when you start a project, and I like to picture like that, you will see I like to do visuals. It's like this castle of cards, right? And some of you might relate to that. You know, it's quite unstable. And in fact, it's based on assumption and belief and interpretation, right? It's not that solid. It's not that solid because our amazing idea, what we think is based on many assumptions. So let's say biased view of reality and perspective. And I want to come back to that. Daniele illustrated that at the beginning, you know, with the 3 bubbles. But what are the 3 main risks you have to keep in mind? And it will help you also to look at the problem the right way. The first risk is desirability. So do my customer want my solution? The second question will be feasibility. Can we do it? Can we design? And the third one will be viability. Should we do it from a financial standpoint? Okay. So every idea, every early stage project has to tackle those 3 problems and to tackle that already in the problem space. So if I go briefly around the 3 and then I dive into 2 of them, feasibility, right? What are the questions you could ask yourself when you look into the feasibility? The part on regulatory and legal, you know, could we do it? A part on technology and data. Will the technology work? Do we have access to the data that we need to train, for example, our algorithm? And the third one, do we have the resource? So it could be money, but it could be facilities. And do we have the right partner? Okay, so it's one of the three risks we were looking at. The second one is the pink one is viability. Okay, should we do it from a financial standpoint? And here 3 questions. What is the cost? You know, you can think what is the cost of the problem today? Who will pay? And what are the revenue and the saving? You know, what are the incentive and the cost we have to consider? So that's the risk number 2. The third one, what is the third one? Put in the chat. What is the third risk that we have not done? We did feasibility. We look at viability. What would it be? Any idea? Looking at the chat. Yes, desirability. Okay. The third one is, do our customer want? Okay. And it's last because it will be the main topic of the rest of the presentation. The question is, what is the problem? Who has a problem? What are available solutions today? So how people are deal with the challenge, and what is your value proposition compared to what already exists? Okay. So you see, it has those 3 risks. In fact, when you look at the main reason for failure, okay, here it's for startup. It's the same, I believe, the same ratio for, you know, company project. So thank you, yes, Cecilia, is a demand desirability. So here, number 1 failure of startup, CBC Insight. You see on the top, what is it? No market need, 42%. And the second one, which is really funny, ignore customer. Okay. So if you add those 2 numbers, we are almost at 55% of reason why project fail is because there is no market demand. It's because we are not solving a problem, a real problem. Okay. And that's a problem. And the question is how people, very smart people, could end up developing product nobody wants. Okay. And it's because it's not so easy to understand the situation and the problem. That's why we spend the next 30 minutes on this topic. To help you see where we are into, you know, from problem to market, which is also one of the topic of this mini power training, you have these 3 steps I like to teach to my teams. The first diamond, you know, the pink one, the problem space and the situation space. The middle one in blue, we design idea. And then when we are clear on the design, we test and experiment. Okay. So here today, we want to help you give actionable framework to understand what I call the problem space and also the situation space. Okay. So the first exercise, and I'm checking the slide as this black part left and right is still big enough to read, or Daniele, Michael, tell me. It's not a problem.
Yes, you can read it out loud, perhaps.
Yeah, okay, because I don't know why. I think Teams is very tricky today. Now it's better. Okay. Thank you for answering. Okay, so the first of the three tools is today, and it's a way to look at who is around your end user. So here it's a situation, okay, you have a problem you want to solve. You have identified an end user, who will use and interact with your solution. And you want to go beyond your customer, because the reason why people fail is sometimes they understand well the customer, but they don't understand the mechanic around. Okay. So this canvas will help you to do that. Okay. I will go one by one for the 7 boxes to explain you what I mean. And then I present you an idea of a solution and we do that together. Okay. And if you have any question on what I meant here, just drop a question in the chat. So the first part in the middle is the end user. Okay, usually that is simple, is a people or organization or people in an organization that will interact with your product or your service. Okay, number one. Then we go with the influencer. You could say it's a gatekeeper, the one who influence, or one who decide, because they have a position of power, they have a position of a legal or technical authority, or they have their opinion or reputation matters. Okay, so here it's all the legal bodies, government and so on, but also public people, influencer, key opinion leader, and many more. Okay, so the influencer. The top part in blue is about money. Okay, so the next question is, okay, in my problem space, and that's why I call also the situation, it's not only a problem, but the situation, who holds the budget? Okay, who will have to pay to solve the problem? So you could think of who is a budget holder of current solution used but imperfect. That's why I want to develop a new one. Okay. And then in money, the second part, number 4, is financial impact. So here it's still in the money part, in the situation, where you look at how your end user is trying to solve his or her problem. What are the financial impact? So who lose money if you were to change this setup, maybe with your new solution, or who might gain more revenue if you were to change this system? Okay, it's very important to understand in the situation, because it will impact a lot when you want to design and test your idea later on. The number 5, okay, so at the opposite of the influencer, is any, let's say, function and people throughout the life cycle of your product. I mean, when I say your product or the current solution you're looking at, people who could maybe, if it's physical, transport, install, repair, maintain, ensure availability, administration, disposal, recycling. Okay, those people will have an impact on the decision or the ability of your end user in the middle to use your idea. And number 6, okay, is when you look at today how your end user is trying to solve the problem, what are the solutions? Okay. Is who are the saboteurs? And the saboteurs are people who, if you were to change this system, they will be negatively impacted. They will lose money, they will lose power, they will waste time. Okay, so you have to keep that in mind as you design your idea. Okay, who could be the saboteur in your system? And last but not least, who will benefit You know, so you have a situation, you have a problem, and you see already who benefit from current solution. Okay, so have identified that. And if you were to bring your solution, how will the number 7 change? How's the beneficiary? Okay, those people could be very interesting partner as you design your ID, the beneficiary. Right? So, any question on the 7 boxes before we do an exercise together? Or comments? No? Okay, so now I make you work. So I choose a sustainability example. Thank you, Michele. A sustainability example. So it's a less 1 minute video. I show you a solution because it's easier, you know. So I will show you a solution. I want you to imagine, okay, your early stage, this team has maybe a concept like that. What could be on the ecosystem mapping? Okay. So I play the video and then we do the exercise.
As individuals, the single best thing we can do for the planet is keep our stuff in use longer and reduce our overall consumption along the way. We can all do our part through buying used, buying less, and buying only what we need. Warnwear is our program to trade in and buy used Patagonia gear. Here's how to get involved. Buy used on warnwear.com or new with Patagonia. Wear it, repair it, and care for it. And when you no longer need it, you can trade it in on warnwear.com or at a Patagonia store near you. We'll pass it along to someone who will use it. And as a thank you, you'll get credit to buy something that you do need. That's what we like to call as individuals.
Okay, so I think the concept is clear, right? Who knew the program, or maybe who used it? Maybe some of you use it. Warnwear from Patagonia. You knew it, okay. It's on my list. I haven't yet used it. So the question is, okay, imagine you're a team Patagonia. You might have the idea to develop a similar program. You don't have designed the solution. You have not tested. You not even have started to interview customer, but you want to have a better map on, okay, who seems important in the situation and in the problem I want to tackle. Okay. So I would love to do the exercise with you. I prepare the post-it, of course. So let's say in the middle, it's an eco-conscious consumer, you know, who like to do outdoor activities, and he's looking for second-hand option that he can trust. What would you put into in such a problem space situation? Who are the influencer you could think of? And there is no wrong and right answer. Okay, the goal is you get the mechanic. Who would you put into? Okay, so what I put, we can review together. So I think in the influencer, in such a problem space, there is 2 parts. There is, you know, the community of circular economy, because the team would like to develop something circular. So circular economy, the people, you know, the bloggers, the influencers, the creator around, you know, slow fashion and reuse, they will be important. You also have, beside this circular economy, you have also the outdoor activities, community and providers who have a say and could influence what type of gear people use. And you have, of course, the regulatory bodies, okay? Fashion and industry. Yes, many TikTok and Insta people probably on sustainability. I guess it depends on what the age of the people in the middle we put. But for sure, social media is a big influencer nowadays. So now if we go to 3, who do you think pay? for that. The budget holder who buy. And here in this context, I think it's rather simple, you know, usually the end user in the middle is the one who pay. It could be family, it could be gift, you know. First I put families and or parents, but then I say, would people buy a second-hand clothes to someone? I'm not sure. So why? But I think it's totally valid to put families, friends. You could also think of company, NGO, maybe they want to buy second-hand clothes to their employee as, you know, as testimonial of their values. Okay. Here it's interesting because maybe your project has a situation where the end user is not the one who pay, and you need to map that in your problem. For example, you deal with fashion for teenager, you know, the one who pay as a parent and sometimes the grandparents give money. If you work in another place, for example, you know, health, I give you another context. The one who receives the treatment, the patient, is not one who pay in most cases. Okay, so that's why you have the distinction here. 4, in this space, who are the people financially impacted? So if the team want to do a second-hand project, who are the people who will maybe benefit, and who will people who will not benefit, maybe lose money or margin? How does it look like? Four. Patagonia could make money, yes. I would not put that here because it's once the solution is here, but for sure there is a positive business model because people give second-hand product and in exchange they have voucher to buy new Patagonia. Okay, so it's a way to get the funding and the revenue inside Patagonia. Very well. Patagonia could lose sales for new clothes, yes, for sure. The end user might save money, very good. Okay, here what I did, I put, and you see, yeah, you can put many more post-it because the way I teach team is the value is as a team to do the exercise, so you have a canvas of who could be interesting, and then you decide who you want to interview, okay, beside your end user. The people who repair the clothes, yes, so it's what I put here on the top, you know, the store and the retailer who are open to host repair, they might make more money, you know, which is my $+ signal here. And the people who might lose money, besides, you know, Patagonia, we have to see why it's Patagonia, the new clothes, but the fashion outlet, you know, the fast fashion, for sure. And also, maybe I was thinking, you know, the textile resale, secondhand, like TextAid and so on. If, you know, value secondhand products are not part of what is given to them, they might lose money. Good. 5, who enable? You know, it's a complex. So 2, what we did is really the people who influence, and you could say, okay, before, let's say decision making. But then once the decision is made, who could enable the logistic? Very well. I think I didn't put that yet. What else? Who could enable all this second-hand business? So why I say, you know, as enabler, and I see that a lot, municipality or local government, they want to explore those circular hub, you know, circular economy community. So maybe they could support. And also there are training center who train professional on repair, refurbish, and sales. Okay, so they might be interesting to partner. Consumer association also, for sure. Right? Very good. So you see, we start to have a lot of post-its here, right? 6, who could be a saboteur? So people, you know, in this problem of the second hand, don't want anything here to change because they will lose money or value. So what did I put? You know, I think a saboteur is not a person, but I think it's important to note is a low quality, low trust in second hand. That's a big saboteur, not physical, but still I think it's something in definition of the problem the team has to acknowledge. And the saboteur for sure is the fast fashion, with the message of new equal better narrative. Cool, perfect. Yes, the retailers, the franchisee of those fast fashion. Carlo, maybe it's what you meant, but totally. And then 7, beneficiary who benefit. And here I like to help the team to uncover that, because usually they could be a good partner. It depends. And here I put everyone. Yes, so that's everyone and the environment. Yes, I put city and citizen, who want to reduce textile waste for environmental reasons, the planet for sure. And also beneficiary could be those textile resale. I put here maybe they lose money, but maybe in fact, if second hand becomes a norm, if second hand is promoted by very, let's say, good brand, maybe it gives them to have more business. Okay. So I pause here. Any question, comment, and let me stop sharing so I see you briefly. Question the canvas. You see how to use it. Things clear. Okay, thank you. So far, all clear. Okay. So the way you can use it as a team. I think it's a really cool brainstorming exercise as a team. And then you prioritize who from this mapping of the problem situation need your full attention, okay, to go for interview. Then, so I continue. So here we did a mapping of today. And I wanted to give you a different lens, which is looking at tomorrow, because in innovation, things could go very fast. And so I selected a checklist, which is not for me. I mean, the ecosystem, I designed that. Here, it's a pastel. Maybe some of you know. Do you know the pastel checklist or way to look at trends? No. Okay. So I choose it because it's easy. Every single letter is a trend you have to check with your team. So you remember, and it takes 10 minutes and you don't miss any big things that you don't want, like me, Swiss expert, highlighting the dossier. So first question, the P is political, You have to analyze government policy and intervention in the economy. It could be, the tax, environmental laws, the trade restriction, and so on. What will happen if we can imagine in the short term that could impact the problem we are tackling, okay? The second part, the E after the P, is economic, market condition, growth prospects. Are we dealing with the elderly population that is definitely in emerging market or in developed market growing? Or are we dealing with, I don't know, baby? Maybe there's the birth rate being low. Maybe it's not the highest growing segment you want to target. So economic. The third part is the S. We look at P, we look at E, now it's the S, so social cultural. Here the demographic I already mentioned, but also the age distribution, safety and phases, and so on. So social cultural. Then the T. What could be the T of pastel? It's an easy one. T like technology. Okay, and here you want to look at any trend. What the technology. Are we automating a full business? How do we have a new let's say a machine coming? Is AI replacing or shifting the way we used to do? Okay, so what's the technology trend? And then we have two more. the second E is for the environment. So here we are talking a lot about sustainability. So what's the trend here? And then legal. The last L is legal. Is there any compliance, regulation, law that are coming, safety, employment, and so on, that could impact the problem you want to solve? Okay. So that's for Pestel. The way I like to use it as a checklist to not miss anything that's coming. And when I say we, the team I coach are so focused on often their technology, sometimes their customers, sometimes both, they tend to forget the midterm, the tomorrow assessment. So that's the second one. And the last one, as a coach innovation, I say, okay, I want to share briefly on generative AI. And here, the way I like to coach team is to use it as a thinking partner. And the way I like to teach that for the problem space is, okay, you choose a LLM who has access to internet. Okay, so Mistral, ChatGPT, I use a lot. And then you feed all the context you already have collected. So here it has some confidentiality aspect, maybe either you use the one from your company. I have paid version, and not the for example, ChatGPT, I don't have the plus, I have the team, which has a very high level of confidentiality. The data are not used to train the algorithm, at least is what he said. So you give the context, a lot of context, as much as possible, everything you know, and then you ask to play a role of the expert of the domain, and here, for the example, we could say, okay, act as an expert in circular economy or second-hand fashion in Europe. And once you have clarified the role, you ask to run an interview with you and your team and ask one question at a time and non-obvious question. And the goal is to help you also to consider, have we tackled everything we need to understand on the problem, okay, and the situation. I would really encourage you to try that. And then, of course, what people do a lot is, okay, have Gen AI help you to fill the gap of what you don't know. And I see a lot of teams who go directly to 5 before having used it as a way to uncover what they don't know, right? I think it's very important. And I would rather have a team who have a list of questions they don't have the answer now, because that gives you direction on what you need to learn when you go into interview or testing your idea, okay? So I pause here, second time. Tell me, Pestel, how do you find Pestel? And what's the tip of using Gen AI? Have you done that?
Yes, and also if someone would like to share testimonial, I can enable their mic.
Yeah. Yeah, so Michele is typing. Vincent is saying, okay, it's a nice tip to run interview. I think overall, maybe an invitation for me is, as you reflect on your practice with generative AI, do you use generative AI to help you do things? Or do you use generative AI to help you think? And I think in innovation, there's a big place where we should use that for thinking and not only doing, which makes the interaction very different. It's a lot more generative AI asking you question, right? Helping you to make decision, or the creativity partner. So I see Lydia also is writing, using Gen AI, but not such with an interaction. Try it. I think the key here is to be clear on the role and giving a lot of context. Okay. So ideally, for example, you do the ecosystem mapping, you do your customer profile, you do the whatever other method you have on the problem, 5Y and 3 or whatever, and you feed that. And then you ask questions. Yeah, I use it a lot for all. reply to my email. And then here, so maybe too much, Carlos, I don't know. I think the question is, in sustainability, I work a lot in sustainability. Yeah, it's a trade-off on impact, ecological impact and benefit. So I think everyone has to make her own trade-off here. And Linda said I should challenge my ID, And Linda, if you want to unmute you, maybe it's more fun. I'm happy to read your comment.
Hi. I didn't observe that I am not muted. So yeah, I use it to challenge my ideas. Sometimes I have ideas that I think about, they are amazing and good, and then it's very good to run it through this unlimited intelligence and brain. And I am asking, what do you think, what could be my biggest blocker with this solution that I have in my mind? Or what do you think, what could make this to fail?
Mhm.
And it throws me different scenarios. So when I prepare something to present for a higher level, I'm already having solution scenarios for risks. So I do risk assessment, let's say it like this way, a lot
Okay.
with it. And also for my budget plannings, it's very, very helpful. After I am done, I upload and ask, could you please check if I made any mistakes?
Yeah. Very good. Thank you for sharing. So running, assessing, and as a thinking partner, we
Yes.
being the the thought leader, and it's a thought partner on what we make. Brainstorming
Yes.
idea. Carlos said we made incredible analysis about return management. If you want to comment on that, Carlo.
Oh yes. Hi all.
Hello.
Yeah. It's fun. It's fun and interesting, maybe because we were like struggling on find a way to demonstrate that our solution was good for the returns, and because our key message was, with this solution you will have less returns from the users also, so it will affect your costs and so on. And we were working on this since 2 weeks with my CFO. And then because we tried with the ChatGPT and Claude, and then we discovered the Manus. Unfortunately, I have to endorse a Chinese platform. I don't know if it's but then with but for this specific, I think for this specific task, it was really unbelievable. We had like this kind of analysis with all the
what is the name?
It's Manus. M-A and
Thank you.
I would say try again in those Mistral ChatGPT, because I mean maybe you have also not so bad answer yet. You can go for Manus. And Carlo gave a super amazing example, and also in sustainability, to make the case that we're gonna make money, or I don't know what was your business model, and where you struggle, but could be an assumption. Also, you could say, ask you or give feedback from, a sustainability leader, on your ID or your financial, and a VC head or a CFO. Because they all will have very different view at the problem, and you can use AI giving you multiple perspectives. Okay, so you're you're prepared to pitch to very different people. Yeah. And then Vincent said, thank you for sharing, Carlo. You want to share what you said, Vincent?
Yes, with pleasure. Just to say that I've been trying to, I read this somewhere on LinkedIn. I launched agents, so 100 at the same time, some on ChatGPT, some on Mistral and Claude and all kinds of LLMs, with the same data, giving some context and asking the AI to act as a user, and to give me the concerns or what you think about the ID. And then I gathered all the response, made a summary of it, and as I was mentioning, it doesn't replace interviewing users, but it also has some interesting outputs, which I didn't get from interviewing users, or yet at least. So it was interesting.
Yeah, so that's a very good use case in innovation. You know, it helps us to be smarter and decide what we are looking for when we look for when we talk. I mean, when we engage for customer interview, when we drive the first prototype. Okay, so it's that's why I think it's a step we should not omit to consider before we spend time with people, because depending on who is your customer or how is your pilot, maybe you have very little time. And so before using this little time, you want to make sure to have done your homework, you know, and today homework I think has to do with generative AI with moderation. And that's my mantra. Okay, I'm going back to my slide. If you have more comment, happy. I have, I think, 3 slides, so I'm done. So here, and so what's next? You know, I think you use those 3, use your 3 framework I gave you. You know, the ecosystem mapping to look at the problem around your customer, the PESTLE, quick check on what's coming tomorrow, and generative AI, plus what you already do for sure on understanding the problem. The question is, if I take back the 3 diamonds I showed you at the beginning, then you design your idea and you test. Okay, and designing it's, you know, what's your value proposition, what's your pitch, what's your business model, how you monetize your idea, and you test your assumption. Okay, to look back. And so as you test, remember your project look like that. You know, this castle of cards. It's unstable because it's based on assumption and different view of reality, which may bring me back to the photo we opened this training with a deer. And I think my invitation is really find a systematically way to analyze the problem and the situation before you run into design your idea, because that's the only way to save time, and it's because things are not always what they seem, okay, to be. That's it. So, question, comment on that? I will share the PDF or the link to the PDF if you're interested. Okay, I have a link. You have to register. And yeah, PESTLE is public. If you Google PESTLE, you will have it.
Yes, thank you, Aurélie. I just wanted to integrate that we will follow up with an email with more information about how to join the program and linking the PDF. And please, Carlo, go ahead. You raise your hand.
Thank you. Yeah, I told you about the returns problem. So we managed with some discovery and testing and interviews and ours. I don't want to go too deep in the project, but it's a kind of marketplace. So you have the B2B side and the B2C. So we have both actors. So I think this is quite complicated. So you have to do both, basically. So you have to do the 2. Yeah. I understood this, and yeah. So on the B2C side, we have another problem. So I mean, it's a kind of hidden problem. I don't know if you ever encountered that, but it's like I always make the example of the iPhone. So we all know the famous presentation of Steve Jobs with the finger. You know, you don't like the pen, you don't like the BlackBerry keyboard, so we invented the touch. You know, and this was basically for me the best example of hidden problem. So the users, if you have asked the users, would you like to use the keyboard of the BlackBerry or the finger? They would ask, of course, the BlackBerry keyboard. So how to deal with hidden problems? This is
okay. So I can. So I have 2 minutes. Thank you, Angelina. She's amazing. She gave the PESTLE. So I can talk about 2 hours on that, Carlo. The first thing will be B2C, B2B. It's just not one letter change, it's everything change. So you have to do the ecosystem in the 2. acquisition different, customer interview is different. Okay, so it's two really different projects. For me, I would say hidden needs doesn't exist. Need exists, and needs are like the wind. We have to harness it. So I would say we already knew we didn't like to do that. We didn't know how to use a phone without, because of technology. So we already have what we don't like. Okay, so I would say looking at making customers the queen of their needs. And if they are not aware of a problem, which is different, because I think in what we deal sometimes is problem awareness. People don't see there is a problem. And I did that with the generative AI daily. People say, oh, I use AI. And then I know they don't use AI the way they should, but they don't see the problem. So maybe it's here, on the, do they know the problem? I think maybe you're before that. And so how you make them aware of the problem, not the need, but the problem. That's where I would try to focus, So it's communication a lot on that.
I see. So on interviews, on the discovery side,
because if people don't see the problem, and I give you maybe one last example, is okay. I use 15 years. I was an employee in a big corporate organization, 80,000 people. Then I set up my business, me alone. Okay, and then I started to have password for many digital applications. And it was a mess. I used to forget and I didn't want it to spend time. And I knew some solution was there, password management, but who cares? I don't want to spend my time. So I was aware of the problem, but the problem was really little. I was aware of the solution, but I don't care until the problem become a big problem. So you have to have the people to find the people at the stage where the problem is really a problem, and to educate them about the problem. If someone who takes 5 minutes, okay, that's a problem. You waste 30 minutes per day, and you have a risk to not access the confidential data of your corporate client. Okay, maybe I would have spent the time.
Okay, thank you. I have to let it emerge. Thank you so much.
So quickly to Linda for the last question.
Sorry.
Basically, it's not a question. I just wanted to thank you for inviting me. And as a feedback, I usually am very silent in this kind of meetings, and somehow you catch my attention and turned me into be interactive. It's just a feedback for totally. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Linda. Cool. Good. Thank you for playing with me, interacting. Daniel.
Yes. So thank you, Linda, for your participation. Thank you all. So I think we got to 3 o'clock, so we can wrap it up. I would like to thank Aurélie for the kind contribution to this session, and to you all for participating. I also want to mention Michele, Lady, and Letizia from the Innovation Booster team. Thank you for making this happen and for supporting our activities. The team will be available to welcome you in case you would like to participate in the program. And lastly, but not least, I would like also to thank Angelina from InnoSwiss that had the time to join us directly. So thank you all. This training will be available online on the Innovation Booster website. We will leave a link so you can also share it with your acquaintances and with your colleagues. Thank you very much, and see you next time.
Have a nice day. Ciao, ciao.